Hello and welcome to the thought for today. Our lives are a journey. We are forever learning new things about ourselves, about other people, about the world in which we live. And there will be many times when we don't think we're learning anything much, but we probably are. We just don't realise it. Consider how many times you've heard someone say to you, well, you learn something new every day, or every day is a school day. Now, I don't know about you, but I enjoy watching quiz shows on telly, and there's certainly an awful lot of those around today, aren't there? I like watching them mainly to see how well the contestants do, but of course, I also like to see if I can get some of the questions right myself. I always aim to try and get at least one right on University Challenge, where sometimes I don't even understand the questions in the first place. None of us stop learning at any point in our lives, and we just keep moving on into the future. And in today's reading, which comes from Mark, chapter 9, verses 30 to 37, we read how Jesus and his disciples were also travelling. They'd passed through Galilee and were on their way to Capernaum. Jesus was taking the time once again to teach his disciples and to tell them what was going to happen to him. Once again, they didn't really understand what he was saying. And I find that always makes me feel much better when I hear that the disciples didn't understand what Jesus was telling them. Because there's so much that I still don't understand about God and his plans that he has for me, for us, for the world. Now, the disciples heard what Jesus was saying to them, but in one way, they weren't really listening to him. Because as they continued to walk, they were talking about a different subject altogether. It seems that they wanted to know, indeed, they argued with one another about who was the greatest amongst them. Now, surely they must have thought that this was quite an inappropriate subject to be talking about, because when Jesus asked them, they just fell silent. It's almost as if they knew that they'd done wrong. Perhaps they thought that Jesus had not heard what they were arguing about, and they didn't want to make it public to him. And I wonder if Jesus was upset by all of this. I wonder whether he thought that he might have chosen the wrong people to be the first disciples. However, he used this event once more as a teaching opportunity and taught them about the true nature of power. Now, if I ask some of you today who you thought were the most powerful people in the world, I guess you might name some people who are the world leaders, or perhaps high flyers from the business world, or influencers, or even dictators, even though they subject their people to an intolerable rule of law. But the one thing those people all have in common is that their power is rooted in either position, wealth, or even the strength of their military. And all of these are very worldly things. But Christ's words were different. He wasn't talking about power in the same way that we might define it, but he was talking how he wouldn't have any power unless it had been given to him from above by God. So Jesus turned their notion of power upside down, for he says, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. By saying that one sentence, Jesus challenged the disciples, and also us, into thinking in a totally different way. He's reminding us that whether through our actions or our words, we must demonstrate that we actually have an understanding of all that he has said. Now, on many occasions, when Jesus is teaching the disciples, he reinforces his words with actions, and here is no different. It says, then he took a little child and put it among them. And taking it in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not just me, but the one who sent me." This is key, really, to our understanding of his teaching. For while the disciples argued amongst themselves about who was the greatest, they totally missed the point. Instead, they should have been worrying about the weakest and humblest members of their community. And in this case, it was the children. But they and we should never forget about anybody who needs our help. And so we are called to serve. And service to one another comes in many different forms. But just as we are taught, its root should come from a place of humility. We should not ask or expect anything in return, but give all the glory to God. Until next time, God bless you all.